This is The Between, Shadow Society. This is the beginning of season 2 of Shadow Society. If you are brand new to The Between or to this particular actual play group, you can definitely start watching right here, but you may want to go watch the first season. This new season has mostly brand new characters, so it's a perfect jumping in point, but you might want to get some of that context that we will definitely refer to from time to time. You can find season 1 in my YouTube channel playlists. So I'm not going to go over The Between again. If anybody who's watching this video wants to know about The Between, you can go learn it by looking at session 1 of the Shadow Society first season videos that will go over all that stuff. I do want to have all of us introduce ourselves again, though. I think that would be helpful. So when I call on you, please say your name, your pronouns, and anything else you would like for viewers and us to know about you. I'll start. My name is Jason. I use he, him. They is also fine. I am the creator and co-publisher of The Between, and I do all kinds of role-playing game stuff. In particular, I do a podcast called Fear of a Black Dragon, which is about old school and OSR adventure modules. Let's go to David.
My name is David. I also use he, him pronouns. I am also part of the Gauntlet publishing team. So season 1 of The Between was my first foray into actually playing it. Before that, I was just reading it and really loving the idea of it. Now I get to say, man, this game is so good, and I'm excited for season 2.
Thank you. Let's go to Amanda.
Hi, I'm Amanda, she, her. I am obsessed with The Between. I don't really do much. I yell on Twitter a lot. I play a lot of games. I have a couple of podcasts in the works, nothing out yet. So really, I just play games right now, but I'm very excited for season 2. I'm so excited for season 2. I have no idea what's going to happen, and I can't wait to find out.
Fabulous, thank you. Let's go to Rob.
Hi, I'm Rob. I'm he, him. I was Pope, the factotum in season 1 of the Shadow Society, and I think through the course of that season, I just got more and more into The Between. So now I'm extremely excited for season 2 and where that takes us.
Thank you so much. And finally, Mads.
Hi, I'm Mads, she, her pronouns, and I've been a longtime fan of narrative roleplay, and season 1 was my first, was my introduction into The Between, which I absolutely adore. Again, I'm very excited about season 2 and then seeing what we make of new characters. So I'm excited.
Speaking of new characters, we're going to go make those right now. So we're going to pause the video and we'll be back in a moment. Here we go. Okay, we have brand new characters. We have a returning character. And let's go through and meet them for now. I will take this moment to remind you all that we are not to speak of the characters' pasts. This is mostly impossible for the orphan since they have no actual past, but everything of their past we know. But also this particular iteration of Hargrave House is taking place 3 years after the events with Theodora. So there is a little bit of past there even for the orphan, right? But we can't speak of that either. So let's start with our returning character. Amanda, just tell us about Beryl Blakely, please.
Blakely is the undeniable. She does prefer to go by Miss Blakely or Blakely, depending on how comfortable she is with you. Very few people call her Beryl. She is astoundingly beautiful, so beautiful that people just tend to do what she wants them to do when she asks them to do it, just because they can't help themselves. She, not to get spoilery into season 1, but she is not a very nice person. She does work in Hargrave House. She does try to solve mysteries if it benefits her to do so. And generally speaking, it does, because any threat to Hargrave House is going to eventually be a threat to Blakely. I'm not sure what else to say about her. She does have a masterwork in London that is created in her image, inspired by her beauty, and it is guarded by her cult, because of course she has a cult. Her masterwork is a cathedral. This cathedral is small-ish, enough to not stand out when you're walking by or around, but enough to be very beautiful and such inside. Currently, every time that Blakely does something not awesome, basically, she marks, I mark the masterwork reflection, which means I scar the reflection, which means something bad, something degrades in the cathedral to reflect Blakely's personal degradation, I
The
suppose.
degradation of your soul. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few things that have happened to the cathedral so far. I'm not going to really get into details of all of that, but it's mostly just aesthetic stuff. The cathedral is starting to look pretty sad and shabby. I don't know what else to say. Anything else?
I
you
think that's
should-
good. Yeah, I think
Alright.
we're great. Everyone else, we're going to do the normal character introduction routine, which is this first pass around the table. I just want to know name, look, and vice. And then the second pass around the table, we'll read the little descriptive bit for your character, and then we'll fill personal quarters. So let's do the simple introduction of name, look, and vice with Crawford Graves, the vessel. Rob, tell us those things about Crawford.
Crawford Graves is, he has dark red curly hair that's kind of rakishly untidy. He wears a lace shirt with a stiffened collar. He's always kind of covered neck to right up to his chin. You know, he doesn't wear any. You never see the skin of his neck or anything. He would kind of be boyishly handsome if he wasn't so gaunt. And his vice is absinthe.
Fantastic, thank you. Let's go to the orphan. David.
You were not, and then quite suddenly you were. The only thing you remember of your
Nope, just look
creator.
and vice.
Sorry. Just look and vice. Look is blackened teeth, or those are not quite sticking right. Trousers covered in patches, bilge water black hair, and his vice is breaking things. I think he tries to fix lots of things and it doesn't work.
I suppose, is it also like a figurative breaking things? I guess it can be, right?
Yeah, we can interpret it as it comes up, but
Indeed. And let's meet in basic terms our legacy, Artemis Everly Gray. Matt.
Yes, Artemis basically wears tight leathers in shades of gray, a patterned cowl, and over-the-knee soft-soled boots. And her vice is sharp, pointy things practice.
Very nice. Now we're going to go back around and I'll read the descriptive bit, and everyone else just listen carefully and think about what might be found in this character's personal quarters in Hargrave House based off what we know so far. And so, Crawford Graves, the vessel. For as long as you can remember, dark entities have been near. They lurk just inside your peripheral vision, just at the mirror's edge. When you close your eyes, you can actually feel them. Their cold breath, their oily touch, an occasional feverish embrace. They want to be inside you. They want to rub up against your guts and deposit their power. Others are drawn to you as well, those who would use you to master these dark things in order to serve their own agenda. Some of these interlopers, these usurpers, can be of use, such as the hunters with whom you share a home. Others, like the Coven, are best avoided. In either case, you are no one's object, tool, or weapon. You are no mere bystander. Your fate is yours to shape. Everyone else, including myself, everybody says one thing you think might be found in Mr. Graves' personal quarters at Hargrave House. Rob, of course, you have veto power, or you can change it or request a change as you wish. Who would like to go first?
I suggest that Crawford would have a smoky hand mirror that has salt and herb burns on it.
I think that Crawford Graves keeps a ready supply of smelling salts to safely escape from the land between sleeping and waking.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to say that you have, what's your sacrifice for rites of salt and smoke? Oh,
I
you have
kind of came up
tattoo-
with a custom one
Oh,
that,
you have tattoos. Oh,
so
interesting.
yeah, but they kind of draw themselves, like the entities draw them on his body as the ritual is performed.
Ah, very good. Okay, in that case, I'm going to say that you have, let's just keep it weird. You have a fresh, bloody human heart in a box that is still beating.
Oh, nice.
You also have a miniature silver bird cage. And topped on the bird cage is a small glass eye.
I do have a bird as a familiar as well. So
Oh, do you? I didn't even read that.
yeah,
That's fabulous.
of course I have a crow.
Very good. I love it. Okay, great. We'll talk about that. Have you named the crow yet?
More than.
Ah, very good. That's a fine crowish name. Very good. Fine corvid name. All right, fantastic. Let's go over to Sum. Now, Sum is tricky because we know a little bit about Sum, right? At least Sum's earliest hours. Everything from here per the playbook is just as Sum interprets it, right? It is not necessarily Dr. Noble's intentions. It's not even necessarily how it went, but it's what Sum thinks, okay? And so, Sum, you were not. And then, quite suddenly, you were. The only thing you remember of your creator is their face, twisted in anguish and disappointment. They abandoned their work with Hargrave House and left you here, orphaned, but not alone. The others, the hunters, they've taken you in. Some of them even helped you in the early days, helped you remember how to speak, and they were kind to you in their way. Miss Blakely. They let you stay in the laboratory and made it comfortable for you. They gave you things from the outside world to help you better understand it. Like them, you are a creature of the shadows, and you always will be. But unlike them, you understand there can be no shadows without light. And so, folks, what do we suppose is in Sum's personal quarters?
To replace or be in addition to the sonnet book that he's seen with, Artemis gave him a book of poetry.
I think he has in his personal quarters taken from the kitchen at Hargrave House the coffee pot that Dr. Noble used to use.
I'm not sure where he got it, but going on the bird theme, a taxidermied bluebird.
I'm going to say Kip. I don't know why he is drawn to you. I mean, probably because of Pope. But in any case, Kip is not in your personal quarters, but Kip is around and can be accessed. He's older now. And his last name is Longfellow, in case that matters. Good. Love that new character spell in the morning. Ms. Everly Gray. Hargrave House is filled with monster hunters, but you're the only one who was born to do it. Your parents, and their parents before them have known one thing: reveling in the destruction of ungodly beasts and carnivorous terrors. Your family name has been whispered in secret meetings for generations, passed along to those in need of your hereditary talents. You were taught how to hold a blade when you were a child, and completed your first hunt not many years after. Your knowledge of combat and trapping is unparalleled, but you've grown disillusioned with your heritage. You want to be more than just another entry in a long ledger of death. You want out. But you have one last score to settle first, a curse of sorts, a beast that's haunted you and your family for as long as anyone can remember. Prepare to say your family's vow. And here we should mention the beast briefly. You will have the beast threat sheet in your possession, Mads, and you'll be filling it out as we play over the course of sessions. But in the beginning, you have to decide two things about the beast. What type of creature is it? And what makes it exceptional as compared to others of its kind? So be thinking on that. But for now, what do we suppose is in Miss Everly Gray's personal quarters? Also, I'd like to ask you, what is your weapon from, what's your hereditary weapon, Miss Everly Gray?
It is, well, they are twin short staves that are pretty much the length of my forearm. There's etchings on them, very specific etchings where the either end of each look like they're branded into the staff, but they look like they're used up. There's a single etching in the center of each that is not used up, and it's some sort of symbol, some sort of pattern, and it's just waiting to be utilized at the right moment. But yes, so basically twin staves that are the length of her forearm, and then she usually has like a harness on her back that she has them.
Nice, very good. Thank you. So now, personal quarters. What do we suppose is in Miss Everly Gray's quarters?
I think she has. I was going to say she has some kind of holy symbol that is. I don't know what the specifics of her faith or lack thereof may be, but some sort of holy symbol on a silver chain.
She also has a small postcard. There was no return address or anything on the back of it. The writing, it says thank you, and just her address for the last place she had stayed. But the image is of a magpie, a painted image of a magpie.
This is becoming kind of a classic legacy personal quarters item, but I love it. It is a codex, a book of monster entries, with each page having been detailed by a member of your family, authored by a member of your family.
Dang, that's what I was going to do. Encyclopedia Terras, multi-volume set of monster information. But that's too similar.
This one is very personal to your family, like your family's notes. Yeah.
Okay. This is what your family would have used to consult before creating your own. So this is like source material.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a monster manual. Someone always makes a Monster Manual joke too, so congratulations, Rob. Good. I love it. Okay. Take a drink of water. Let's go ahead and take a quick break, just like a 3-minute break. Get some water. We'll come back and we'll begin. It has been 3 years since the events at Brathwaite Hall. Most of the people, the society well-to-dos and government people who were there, have either suppressed memories of that weekend, or they just don't talk about it. Or if they do talk about it, they talk about it as if Theodora had hosted a very, very strange and ghoulish party that went awry. In any case, in the fast industrializing empire 3 years ago is a lifetime. New hunters have joined Hargrave House to continue the dark work of protecting the city and protecting the Queen. And some more of that dark work has landed on the doorstep. Our first threat for season 2 is the St. Petersburg Mirror. I shall read the introduction. Edwin Belmont is an assistant private secretary in the civil service, assigned to the India office in Whitehall. He has recently been approached by a blackmail gang demanding sensitive information on British plans for Afghanistan. Edwin is aware of other recent leaks and fears he is not the only target of these blackmailers. Insisting that he has been diligent in his own personal security, the only thing out of the ordinary he has done recently was visit the renowned medium Madame Sorokin, who impressed him as surprisingly insightful. Wanting to avoid the scrutiny of his peers in the India office and knowing the occult is their area of expertise, he made contact with you all, with Hargrave House, to ask for assistance in determining if Madame Sorokin is linked to the blackmail ring. In particular, he is concerned by rumors that she has recently received the St. Petersburg Mirror, a supposed scrying device of considerable power, as a gift from the cultural attaché to the Russian embassy. Madame Sorokin has a parlor in the East End, and she is also supposed to be holding a seance at the house of the widowed Lady Cadwallader, with several notables in attendance. Miss Blakely, what seemingly innocuous social engagement does Edwin meet you at to make contact with Hargrave House? And why do you trust his instinct about Madame Sorokin?
Could you repeat the question? I think I have an idea, but I just want to make sure.
It's a 2-part question. First of all, just what's the social engagement the two of you are at, where he tells you all this, and to contact Hargrave House? And second, why do you, what basically confirms that Madame Sorokin's involved in blackmail?
This social engagement that Blakely and Belmont happen to be at the same time is a sort of party, so to speak. Party of a certain type of revelry involving fully consenting individuals and likely requiring safe words.
Ah, that kind of party, indeed. So, at a certain point, well, I was about to say he hadn't been very open about how he was being blackmailed or why he was being blackmailed. What was the blackmail but maybe attending parties like this is part of the answer. I will also note that of everyone here, Ms. Blakely, he is the only one who did not throw himself all over you or attempt to get your attention.
Right.
Yeah, perhaps, indeed. Very likely, he's being blackmailed because of his dalliances with, well, specifically with young men, which would not normally be a thing that would impede you if you were discreet about it, but in the Foreign Service, it's a problem. And also just attending parties like this. He's a bon vivant. He's a, he's a, he enjoys life. And that's not the kind of thing that would sit well with his fellow diplomats at the Foreign Service. And so he just says, is this the sort of thing, perhaps the two of you are wearing, relaxing on a couch, wearing dressing gowns or something, and he says, is this the sort of thing that that your colleagues in Hargrave House would be interested in? I mean, it would be a patriotic thing to help stop a scurrilous blackmail ring.
Oh, my dear. The people of Hargrave House, we are capable of many, many things. This is decidedly and easily within our wheelhouse. However, I will need to be assured of your discretion, and she puts her hand on his shoulder, of my attendance at parties like this. I'm not worried about my reputation so much as people begging me for joining their parties, just tons of invites. I'm very particular about who I spend my time with, and she squeezes his arm a little. I'm sure you understand.
He kind of like takes your hand and gently moves it off his shoulder and sets it back down in your lap and says, oh yes, of course, Ms. Blakely, I can see how that would be the case. You are certainly the most beautiful woman in this gathering and probably one of the most beautiful women I've ever laid eyes on.
And as such, because of my need for discretion, I would require a little tit for tat, so to say. I help do this for you. You do something for me.
Yes, of course. Do you have something? Is there something I can help out with?
I have nothing in mind in particular at the moment, but
I see, a chip to
I'll
cash in
place
later.
exactly.
Very
Can I
well.
count on you for this?
Yes, of course. And now the second part of that question. Why do you trust his story about Madame Sorokin being involved in the blackmail ring?
I think this is probably not the first time Blakely has heard of or had Madame Sorokin's voice come up in different conversations. Blackmail is something Blakely would probably do to people quite easily. So having another person kind of being involved in that sort of thing, she would have a little bit of a knowledge about it.
Fair enough. Sounds good. I love it. So we have 3 questions and opportunities here, or 4 actually. This is a busy one. The first 3 are all different ways of resolving the threat. The 4th one we'll talk about in a moment. If you want to follow along, it's on the tab in the threats, or it's in the threats tab. The first question is, what trickery and deceit does Madame Sorokin deploy in order to dupe those who come to her parlor? Opportunity: resolve the threat by exposing Madame Sorokin as a fraud and discrediting her in the public eye, reducing the risk that she will be able to find further victims. That's complexity 4. The other question: who is truly behind the blackmail ring and how are they using Madame Sorokin as a pawn in their game? This is also complexity 4. It allows you to resolve the threat by dealing with the power behind Madame Sorokin. If Hargrave House feels Madame Sorokin is useful, they may be able to recruit her to their cause. The third question is a slightly different tack. How do you know that not only is Madame Sorokin a true psychic, but currently is only using a small portion of her potential? Given time, what could she achieve? That's a complexity 6. Resolve the threat by bringing Madame Sorokin under control, whether through force, magic, or reason. Approached carefully, she could be an asset, but she might be too dangerous to handle. And then the fourth question is not about resolving the threat at all. It is the St. Petersburg mirror. Is it really a device of power? Is it genuine? That's a complexity too. If the mirror is genuine, it is available as a reward if the hunters are able to secure it. So those are your four questions, 3 variations of how to resolve the threat, and 1 specifically about the mirror. And so let's just begin the day phase, or continue the day phase, by asking everyone what you would like to do. You do have a couple of leads on this mystery. We know, you know where Madame Sorokin's, where she lives and where she conducts her business. And you also know that Madame Sorokin is going to be appearing at a hosted seance hosted by a Lady Cadwallader. And I suppose you could also follow up with Edwin too, if you really wanted to. So, but let's go around the table and start with Mr. Graves. What would you like to do today?
I think Mr. Graves would be interested in securing an invitation to the seance. I imagine he may have heard of Madame Sorokin and would like to establish whether she is the genuine article or the more common variety of fraud.
Indeed, indeed. And you all get to decide that, right? So ultimately, so you're going to go to Lady Cadwallader's like before the seance and just like try to ingratiate yourself, or what?
Yeah, I wonder what's the best approach. I may actually lean on Miss Blakely's social connections in order to get me an introduction into the level of society that would be required to get me an invite.
Well, Miss Blakely, what would you like to do today?
Luckily, I was thinking the same thing. So we're gonna team up. It's gonna be a power team and visit the Cadwalladers.
Very good, very good. Ms. Everly Gray, what would you like to do today?
I was also thinking of going to Lady Cadwallader's, but maybe not presenting as someone who would be actually attending the seance, but more of someone who would be scoping the territory, as it were.
Very good.
So while they're actually wangling for an invite, then Artemis is going to check out the grounds.
Fantastic. And some?
I think some is convinced that the only way to tell, or one of the ways to tell if this is a legitimate thing, is for him to attend and see for himself the kind of seance. So does she do seances in the day, or do
No, I
I
think
need
the
to
seance
secure
is
one for
tonight.
night?
Yeah, the seance is tonight. Sounds like everyone's kind of scoping the place out ahead of time, though.
Yeah.
So it sounds like everybody's going to Lady Cadwallader's. Is that the plan? Let's talk about Lady Cadwallader's. Cadwallader House. It's a fashionable townhouse in Mayfair, expensively but tastefully decorated. It shows signs of mourning. All of the mirrors and portraiture have been veiled. Lord Cadwallader, who was an officer in the army, recently died while on leave. And so the house is in the mourning. I think when you arrive, a servant, those of you who are coming to the door, it sounds like that is maybe just Crawford and Blakely. Some, I don't, are you going to the door as well?
I think so. I'm trying to anyways. Would the two of you have me, or am I too disagreeable of company?
Oh, goodness, creature. I believe you should probably just hang back. You are very, well, conspicuous.
Without a word, Sum turns and back rigid walks down behind the property.
A footman opens the door, and were they expecting you? Did you send word ahead, or did you just show up? If you just showed up, the footman will say, can I help you?
Hello. I am Miss Beryl Blakely, and I'm here to see Lady Codwalder.
Yes, well, did you, was Lady Cadwallader expecting you? Or?
Well, no, my dear, this is a surprise visit. She couldn't have expected us if it's going to be a surprise. Goodness. Servants these days.
Yes, well, perhaps you have not yet heard, but Lady Cadwallader's husband has very recently passed away. She is not in high spirits at the moment.
That is why we are here, my dear. We're here to surprise her and bring her spirits up.
And
You are interested in bringing her spirits up, are you not?
If you would be so kind as to wait here, and he sits you down on a bench in the main hall, and he turns to go get Lady Cadwallader.
Mr. Graves looking like the least likely person to cheer anyone up.
That's what I was wondering. Like, you're not the most cheery looking group. I paint the scene question for everyone. What traces of the late Lord Cadwallader still linger in the house, and how are they being expunged or otherwise gotten rid of?
I think there's a regimental standard, that was on the wall in the entryway, with all the kind of markings of the various battles that his regiment had fought in over the centuries.
And what preparations are being made to cover
Nothing's
those or take them down?
It's kind of it's still present, but it's been rolled up, and it's almost like it's ready to be packed away or ready to be taken out of put into storage, perhaps.
You can see on the wall there might have been some decorative awarded swords or weaponry that were on the wall, but you can see like the dust shadows of them. So they've been taken down and also readied for storage or for, I guess, returning back to the military from whence they came.
Similarly, I apologize for the fire trucks outside. Similarly, we have servants and hired help boxing up things in a study that we could see from the waiting area a few doors down, books and, study things like a globe, probably a bottle that has a ship in it, that kind of stuff. Boxing all of that up and then bringing it down into some sort of basement or storage area.
Every English aristocrat has a ship and a bottle, is well known. So, David, any thoughts?
It's extreme, but the servants are even like going to the dining table, and they take the chair where he sat, even though it's identical to all the other chairs, and they take it outside.
Speaking of outside, Ms. Everly Gray and Sum, the two of you are outside, and this is it's a townhouse on a busy, well manicured lane, and so certainly Sum sticks out just because Sum is so, based off your look choices, is a very, very well, to steal Miss Blakely's words, conspicuous looking character. Miss Everly Gray, you probably fit in a little better, but I'm curious, what are you all doing?
So Artemis sees that some has been left out to dry, and she motions for him to join her in the back. Some. We're going to do a little bit of reconnaissance. We're going to take a look around these grounds, and then we're going to see if there's any way that there can be any kind of deception rendered from the outside. If we're actually going to get any invitation to this seance, we can at least make sure that it's going to be on the up and up, at least from the exterior. Join me.
You don't have to include me. I know I'm not always the best at this sort of work or your sort of work or their sort of work. I'll find a way in. Don't you worry now. And I think the servants come out and they're trying to dispose of that chair. They're trying to get it into the trash, but it's too big. And I think some comes over and offers to smash it for them. And then we'll offer to help move heavy things inside the house.
Good. Because you have the Caliban's Fury move, right? That makes you very strong. Nice. Because of that, I don't need a die roll. I think that'll be enough justification to get you into the back. Let's cut back to the main area, though. And Ms. Everly Gray, I'll give you an information within a bit, but Lady Cadwallader does make an appearance. She is probably the most standout thing about her is that she's very young. She looks like she's like 17 or 18. She's really young. And she's wearing, she's got a very she looks very well bred in terms of just her mannerisms and things. Quite striking, actually, Miss Blakely, even in her dark mourning garb. She says, hello, yes, I was told that you were here to see me.
Oh, my dearest Lady Cadwallader, I'm so sorry to hear of your loss. And Blakely takes her hands, between hers. Truly, truly
Well, thank
sorry
you,
to hear.
But I do apologize. I'm not sure we've met, and if we have met, I'm very, very sorry. My head is in quite disarray, as you might imagine.
Nothing to apologize for. Grief does strange things to a person. I am Blakely, and this is my colleague, Crawford Graves, and we are here to visit. I imagine it's been a while since we've had visitors with new friends, and we're here to be your good new friends, I assure you.
She says, well, first of all, Ms. Blakely and Mr. Graves. Mr. Graves, I thank you for showing the respect of wearing mourning colors. Did you know my husband?
I did not have that pleasure, madam, but not to put too fine a point on it. We have heard that you may be holding a seance here, and I have some expertise in these matters.
Ah, I see. And then she sort of says, well, you should have just come out and said that. Yes, tonight, in fact, I'm going to be hosting one Madame Seraphima Sorokin. She is very, she's quite a talent. She's blessed with incredible abilities. I have consulted with her for a number of months now, even before my husband's unfortunate passing. And she assures me that she will be able to contact him. But you say you have some expertise in this area, Mr. Graves?
Indeed, ma'am, I do. And I would so hate for you to be misled by the type of scoundrel that sometimes presents themselves as a medium.
Oh, I assure
I may
you,
be.
Madame Sorokin is perfectly on the up and up.
Oh, I do not doubt it, but if you would allow me to be present, I could perhaps just set any lingering doubts at rest in that regard. Do you mind if I smoke? And Crawford takes out his silver cigarette case and offers it around.
Indeed, indeed. She says, no, but please go ahead.
My lady, not just for you. Clearly, you, since you've mentioned that you've been seeing this medium for quite some time, you know of her abilities. We are concerned that other people who are joining your seance may not have the same faith that you do, and having, well, people who are knowledgeable about these sort of things to help back you up.
Yes.
That could be very useful.
Right, yes. So here we'll do the day move, with the stakes being just securing an invitation to the seance. Either of you can roll it. I don't care who rolls it. It would be with presence. So.
I think since I was the last person who spoke to her and also I have the highest presence, I think I'm going to roll
You have
it.
higher presence, yeah.
By all means. And what are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I am afraid that we're not going to get an invitation. Oh, sorry, I put my dice over here for some reason.
Very good. Go ahead and roll with presence.
Seven.
She says, well, I have to tell you how you'll be vulnerable if you press forward with it. The way you'll be vulnerable is Madame Sorokin. This is out of character information, but Madame Sorokin will have members of the blackmail ring planted in the gathering. If you're okay
I
with
love
that.
the idea of someone trying to blackmail Blakely. I love that.
Very good. Let's cut back over to Ms. Everly Gray. Ms. Everly Gray, you've been left by all three of your companions. What are you doing out there?
That's fine. She's usually by herself. Anyway, so she's looking around in the back, close to the house first, and then she watches some go inside with the servants. And she'll actually check the windows and the doors to see the most likely place where the seance will be held, and then see if she can find a spot that is observable into said place, just to check to see if there's any way of having things set up, if it's not quite on the up and up, around that area. So
Love it. Go ahead and make an information move. Or yeah, information. That's what it's called. The information move with reason.
Oh, I miss Dr. Noble. Oh, good. Oh, okay, so that's 7.
Very nice. Let's take a look at the clues really quickly. You will find nestled in the exterior frame of a window, presumably looking into a parlor, you will find a sort of like tin device that you can put a candle inside. And when the candle is lit, it will cause images from the cutout from the tin to appear, ghostly images.
Isn't this an interesting little thing over here?
And that's your clue.
Can I mess with it?
complication, before you can get your hands on it, a police constable is coming around down the lane and says, what are you doing there? Looking in people's windows?
She straightens up. She straightens up. Actually takes down her cowl. No, I am not looking in people's windows. I am actually going to be here later on this evening. Perhaps I am just taking a little walk, like you should.
All right, but just move along. And he sort of says, you don't want to be creeping about in alleys like this, ma'am. It's very, even in a neighborhood like this, there are unsavory sorts about.
Oh,
the complication
I'm
is just that you have
hoping
to
for
move on, basically.
I'll if I can help, I'll scoot the window open and be like, this will be the easiest way to bring this out. And like, I'm like pushing like a big box through. I'm like, you gonna take that, ma'am? Need your help now.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And she takes the package.
And I'll
Very good.
slowly stick my head out, like look at the officer, like, everything all right out here, officer?
He looks at you and kind of says, yes, I suppose so. And he says, just, well, all right then. And he turns and walks back down the lane.
And Artemis whispers to you some, thank you. That was exceedingly helpful.
And turning my not quite smile with blackened teeth from the officer over towards you.
Some. You do have the run of the back of the house, at least. What do you do?
So I'm trying to be exceedingly helpful because that's how I found I can stick around places. My hope is I can ingratiate myself enough that I can stick around even into the evening.
I like that. I think it's really good. Make a day move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I'm just too unsettling to be kept around.
Yeah, that's probably right. Go ahead and roll with presence. Your presence score is 0. At least it's not -1.
Oh, I'm going to make coffee for us all to try and help with my coffee pot.
Very good. You found that people love coffee.
People like this, right?
Very good. You could roll with advantage then if you mark it.
Yep, I'll mark it. Sweet 10. We did it.
Nice. Very good. You will have access to the house tonight during the seance. And this will be a fairly short day phase, just in the interest of time, because we had to do character creation stuff. So let's just do one more action with Mr. Graves. Mr. Graves will give you a chance to do one action here.
I think I will speak to Lady Cadwallader. Mom, would you mind if I took a look at the room where the seance is to be held?
Well, yes, of course. And as she takes you to the room, she says, do I understand correctly, Mr. Graves, that you are some sort of academic when it comes to matters of the esoteric or the occult?
You could say that, Mom. I'm afraid I don't have a qualification so much, but I have studied these matters. I have some experience.
Splendid, splendid. I hope then that we're doing everything right in terms of setting the room up. And she takes you into this like quite exquisite parlor. There's a large round table set up. You might just be passing some, right, coming out of the room. And you might just be seeing Ms. Everly Gray sort of like, walking away from the window on the outside. And there are chairs will set around. There are big, tall, potted plants sort of like flanking the area, a big fireplace. That window is situated right behind where Madame Sorokin will be sitting. And she says, I've tried to, per Madame Sorokin's directions, I have removed all photographs and portraiture from the room so as not to invite unwelcome spirits or to confuse matters. We have to keep my husband focused on the matter at hand, you see. And I think that, well, the light in this room is poor, which I've never been happy about, but for an early evening seance, it is perhaps an advantage, the atmosphere, get everyone in the mood.
It certainly seems appropriate, ma'am, yes. May I ask, do you intend to have the curtains drawn across this window?
Oh, well, I don't really know. Do you suppose I should?
I believe that would be appropriate, ma'am, yes.
Oh, very well then. And rather than draw the curtains herself, she directs a housekeeper to do it. Who's standing right there.
Great. Yeah, Graves just kind of observes this going on and looks around the room, blowing smoke toward the ceiling and just inspecting the setting, looking for anything that maybe indicates that there's any kind of trickery afoot, that there's devices or whatever.
Yeah, make the information move with reason.
Take a look at what my reason score is. I feel like it may be a 1. Okay, so sorry, I don't have my die roller set up. Bear with me 1 second. Oh, I rolled a 7.
Indeed. Let me get you a clue first. I mentioned that all the mirrors were covered, and yet one of them, a tall, full-length mirror, the cover just falls of its own accord to the ground. Thump. You are standing, looking in the mirror. And when you turn to face Madame Sorokin with your back to the mirror, or not Madame Sorokin, Lady Cadwallader, Lady Cadwallader says, you can see her face go a little pale. And she says, oh my, I don't quite know what to say, Mr. Graves, but I am looking in the mirror, and there is someone standing over your shoulder. They're looking directly at me. I don't know who it is. And
can I see anything?
Do you turn and look?
Or is this something? Oh, yes.
You turn and look, and very briefly, you do see someone in the mirror, but then it's gone. Now, this could just be because you have such entities always around you. Or it could be that Madame Sorokin has thinned the veil with Lady Cadwallader enough for something like this to happen. In any case, it's a clue. The complication is Lady Cadwallader takes your hand and she says, I can sense it now. You really do mean what you say. And she squeezes tight. Mr. Graves, would you mind terribly if I were to call on you to perhaps, well, consult with you, as I have consulted with Madame Sorokin in the past?
Well, of course, that would be fine.
You have marked by Lady Cadwallader as a condition.
I will render whatever assistance I can. Tell me, Lady Cadwallader, has Madame Sorokin visited this room already, or will she be coming for the first time this evening?
Oh, yes, she's been to my home many times. And we'll cut the day phase there. Like I said, a shorter day phase, but that's okay. And we shall go straight to the dusk. We do not have any playbook moves that need to be dealt with right now. So let's talk about Hargrave House. And Hargrave House will also be anew. And so we have all of our choices available to us. And we're going to start with the salon. The salon of Hargrave House. What in this room makes it the most comfortable spot in the entire house?
The last 3 years, Hargrave House has changed a lot, which is why we can paint the scene so much for all these different rooms, because it's been a while. The salon especially, there was a short time where Blakely was sort of the person. I mean, Blakely is clearly the senior person to Hargrave House, but she's sort of the person who was around the most and kind of took that as Blakely's in charge and decided to start redecorating until she got bored of it. One of the rooms she decided to start redecorating was a salon, and she removed all the furniture and replaced it with big, fluffy seating cushions and blankets and throws of very different exotic materials. Well, exotic for London at the time. Bright colors, very kind of over the top, considering the rest of the room doesn't really match what the furniture looks like. But again, she got bored and didn't finish. But yeah, there's no seating anymore except on these cushions and a very low table.
I think the salon has a very fine fireplace that ensures that even in the depths of winter, it's one of the warmer rooms in the house. A huge ornate marble topped fireplace with tiled surround, and the tiles kind of hint at some kind of geometric pattern. And it's well stocked. There's a well stocked supply of wood, and you can always be assured of a warm, comfortable place in the house, in the salon.
The salon has light in it because there's it's windows. I mean, windows above rather than just to the sides. So it's easy to see what the weather is outside and be able to look up at the sky. Considering Artemis's background, being able to look at the sky is somewhat important. And so being able to see weather patterns, being able to see light or dark is very comforting.
If you open one of the double door coat closets just off of the salon, you'll be confronted about head level with the feet of 4 chair that has been unceremoniously pushed in to an upper rack there. Some stashed it away when Blakely was redecorating. It was a raggedy old chair. It's overstuffed, and when he wants to relax in the salon, he will remove it from the closet and set it over by the window and sit in it and stare out the window. And when he's done, he'll be sure to place it again in case anybody should see it, think it's amiss, and remove it permanently from the house.
Very nice, thank you. What would everyone like to do during this night phase? Bearing in mind that the night belongs to me, but nevertheless, what do you hope to accomplish? We'll start with Graves.
Attend the seance and try to get a read on Madame Sorokin. I would also like to potentially use my familiar to observe her arrival and then follow her afterward.
Very interesting. Miss Everly Gray?
Oh, she's going to stay outside. She's going to look at that thing that she found earlier and actually try to dig it out before the seance actually begins, to give somebody a possible surprise if they were planning on depending on it.
Fantastic.
And also to monitor a situation from outside.
Indeed, indeed. Miss Blakely?
Also attending this seance. Less interested in the actual seance spooky factor. More interested in trying to find a way to blackmail Madame Sorokin to stop her from blackmailing other people. Very easy solution. Just turn the tables on her.
Indeed, indeed. And the guests also might be a good indication of what's really going on too.
Some would like to stand unobserved in the corner of the room. He has low expectations this will work.
Very good, very good. All right, I love it. Let's keep going here. No Janus Mask prompts yet, so no worries there. Oh, I forgot to mention, we do have an aspect of the Janus Mask on this thread. It is called the Mask of the Mirror. When someone chooses it, each hunter narrates a memory of someone close to them who died. What message did they never get a chance to give them before passing? And that just leaves the unseen. Tonight's unseen is going to be a night at the Grand Guignol, the Laboratory of Hallucinations. That is the third row, far right. Every class of people in London is represented in the audience at the Theatre Grand Guignol. They have come to watch a production of the Laboratory of Hallucinations, a story of revenge. Everyone does paint the scene. Act 1 will be David. Act 2, which is prompt 3, will be Rob. And Mads will be prompt 4. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back into the night phase. The Laboratory of Hallucinations is the name of our play. Everyone, as the limelights pop to life and the crimson curtain is raised, what do we see as we scan the stage that tells us this is the story of a mad scientist?
On the laboratory prop piece on the back wall, there is a large clock. It has a big crank attached to it, and the scientist, as he's working on things, will periodically crank it, and rather than the clock having arrows that move, the clock will move to indicate what time the scientist thinks it is.
Kind of tying into that, the display of the machinery that he has up on the wall is in very geometric and very wild lighting patterns. So, I mean, as he's cranking and as he's throwing switches, things are just strobing and just being lit up, and then you can see electricity or fake energy running through it, and just to kind of give this like this chaotic whirl of lights and sound.
There are bottles filled with some kind of liquid, but there's, any that are uncorked have like a smoky substance coming out of them, and the whole base of the stage is kind of wreathed in this low hanging fog that's emanating from some of these bottles.
I think, and I know that this is not a thing at this time, but we're going to ignore it. There's sort of like a theremin-esque kind of music happening in the background, probably made with a violin of some sort, but it does sound very mad scientist-y.
Miss Everly Gray, Mr. Graves and Miss Blakely have gone ahead to the party, to the seance. Some never came home. You are still at Hargrave House. You'll be joining in a bit. When there's a ring at the door. Ding, 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 ding. One thing about Hargrave House is there are no servants. What do you do?
She's actually going to come out of her own bedroom window. She's going to use a grappling hook and a rope that she has. And she's going to scurry down from her window outside and see who's ringing at the door.
It is a young man. He is wearing a naval officer's uniform. He's very young, probably like in his early 20s. And he's sort of like looking around like the exterior of Hargrave House, which cuts quite a figure. And he goes for the doorbell again. Ring, 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 ring.
She sticks to the shadows of the house and then just kind of peers round at him, and will kind of make a little bit of a round about him to make sure that she can't be seen. And she will appear behind him and tap him on the shoulder. Yes, your business.
Oh, well, is this I'm looking for the home of Vice Admiral Thaddeus Flagg. Is this it?
This is not. I believe you want the house next door.
Oh, perhaps I do. I was wondering, because there are no apparent lights lit in this home. Is this where you live?
No, I'm a bit of a passerby at the moment, but I do remember that Vice Admiral Flagg is next door.
And he says, "Oh well, thank you so much for your help. I certainly appreciate it. I suppose I should introduce myself. I'm Lieutenant Hansford, Daniel Hansford."
I believe the pleasure is all yours, Lieutenant. I hope you have a good evening for your business with Admiral Flagg.
Yes, I hope so. He's I've been invited to a sort of informal officers party. I don't know if you know Admiral Flagg well, but he's a legend in the Royal Navy, and well, for a young officer like me, it's quite an honor to be invited to his home.
Interesting. Is this little get-together happening this evening, or is this something that you're just curious about where Admiral Flagg lives.
He says, "Oh no, I'm expected now. Thank you so much for your help." And
Indeed.
he walks down to the other side of the square where Admiral Flagg's house is. And indeed, you can hear there is a lot of like raucous noise coming from inside Flagg's mansion. Singing, shouting, whooping, hollering. We'll cut over to some at the back of the house at Lady Cadwallader's. A question. How are the people in the back of the house, servants, chambermaids, footmen, that kind of thing, the valets, how are they, in what ways are they like a family?
They all know each other's business. Whether one is coming or going, like they always have like a thing to say as long as they're back of house. But when they're out front, none of that happens. That's how they're like a family.
And is there anyone here who you have sort of made a budding friendship with?
The first person that I helped has had to explain me to lots of people. So I've like latched on to them.
We'll say it's a footman named George. He's a younger man, as a footman would be, and he's smoking a cigarette out back. He says, "Do you smoke?"
Sometimes, if people offer. I haven't taken the habit up myself.
I was like, "Well, if you want a cigarette, let me know. So you're welcome to one."
And I'll take it and inhale.
No, you don't have proper lungs. So what is that like?
Smoke kind of comes out of my jacket a little bit, but it's dark, so maybe he just thinks it's coming out of like wherever. But unfortunately, like it burns down until it's like burning my fingers, and I don't notice.
He says, "Hey, you're gonna like hurt yourself," and he kind of grabs your hand and says, and he burns himself. He's like,
Oh, I'm terribly clumsy. I'm so sorry.
He says, "Son, you are a very unusual individual, but well,
bless you for your attention." And I give a big ham-fisted pat. I could have burned myself real badly had it not been for you.
It's like, yes, well, I'm expected. I'm expected to serve drinks and such. Are you going to be hanging around for the rest of the evening?
Certainly. Do you need help?
Well, I think you should probably stay back here, son. But I'll let you know if I do.
I understand, and I'll just go in and follow him.
Indeed. Mr. Graves, Miss Blakely, the party. Madame Sorokin hasn't shown up yet. She hasn't showed up yet, but there are some other people there, apart from Lady Cadwallader. You will meet as well a Count Vasily Orlov. That's the cultural attaché from the Russian embassy, the one who you all know gave the St. Petersburg mirror to Madame Sorokin. He is there, as well as a Captain Silas Fairweather from the Navy, and a few other society people, but those are the two worth knowing right now. And Count Orlov, who is immaculately dressed, very debonair. He has a long cigarette holder, which is always at hand. And he approaches you, Mr. Graves, and he says, "So, Clara," that's Lady Cadwallader, "Clara tells me you are also an enthusiast of the mystical arts, Mr. Graves?"
I am indeed, yes. I'm curious to see the fabled Madame Sorokin in action.
Oh, she is incredible. I mean, truly incredible. I myself, I find the mystical arts most intriguing. Call it backward superstition, if you will, but I feel that there is always more going on that meets the eye in life, in love, in all of our relationships. And of course, I'm very, very happy and very pleased to be able to help a countrywoman far from home. Madame Sorokin is very, very far away from home. I recently gifted her with something very unusual and intriguing find, you might say.
Indeed. And what
Yes.
would that be? The mirror that's hanging on the wall here?
Oh, no, but you are correct that it is indeed a mirror. It is the fabled St. Petersburg mirror. There are rumors that some Tsarina, I myself am a distant relation to the royal family of Russia. Did you know that? Some Tsarina in years past used to consult it in order to learn juicy innuendo and gossip at the court. It is supposed to have magical powers. I'm told that the mirror might be making an appearance tonight.
I must confess that's part of my reason for being here. I'm fascinated to see such an artifact.
Miss Blakely.
I'd heard rumors.
He says, "Oh yes, yes." And he assures you that if the mirror does make an appearance, it is most. It will be a very special thing indeed. Late Miss Blakely, Captain Silas Fairweather. He's wearing a smart uniform. His gray beard is very neatly kept. He has kind of shaky hands, you'll notice. And he says, "Oh, Miss Blakely, you are as striking and beautiful as any siren of the sea. I hope you don't mind me saying such."
Oh, my dear Captain Fairweather, I've heard that many a time, so no, I mind not.
Yes, yes. They say that sirens, mermaids, things of this nature are, well, that's just superstition. It's just illusions that play in the minds of sailors who have been out to sea for too long. But when I see someone as beautiful and captivating as you, I am convinced that these tales are true. And I myself have seen some rather strange things on the water.
Well, a lot of these stories that we hear, these superstitions, have a ring of truth to them. You say that I am a siren. Now, are you trying to avoid my siren call, or?
He smiles and says, "Not at all, not at all. I am told that I have a very impressionable nature. I could be lured by such a song very easily, I'm afraid."
Oh, lucky for me. That is my favorite type of person. Captain Fairweather, may I ask why you were invited to this party?
He says, "Well, let's just say there's something about being between sea and sky that draws a man's thoughts to the infinite. Life, death, fate, the fragility of it all. It's hard sometimes, being back here on land. So many distractions and temptations. I miss existing in that liminal space. So I suppose I am here because of that, to get back in touch with it." Let's cut back over to the Grand Guignol. David, please describe Act 1, in which a mad scientist discovers his wife having an affair with another man.
So the show opens with real fanfare of loud but unsettling music. And we see the scientist in this degrading relationship with his wife as he pours more of himself into his work. And he's working on something. It's so important. And as he is getting closer and closer to accomplishing his goal, whatever that is, in his strange laboratory, his wife is moving further and further away from him. And at the end of Act 1, we see that her friend who has been helping her cope with the situation, they fall into one another's arms, like true love sparking between them. And it was innocent and an accident, and it's kind of beautiful for the audience, but it's observed by the mad scientist with that same crescendoing music that opened the act.
Thank you. Ms. Everly Gray, before Lieutenant Hansford can separate himself from you and head over towards Admiral Flagg's mansion, Admiral Flagg steps into the scene out of the shadows. Lieutenant Hansford, I was beginning to think that perhaps you had gotten lost. Thank you so much for collecting him for me, Miss Everly Gray.
Indeed, Admiral Flagg. He had wandered over to our abode by mistake, and
Hansford says, I thought you said you didn't live here. Never mind, I'm being rude.
Indeed.
Flagg says, I do hope our carrying on is not keeping you up, Ms. Everly Gray. I wouldn't want for us to, well, cause you any undue disturbance.
I keep odd hours, Admiral Flagg. Anything that you do for fun would not necessarily bother me in the slightest.
I would, of course, invite you to our revelry, Miss Everly Gray, but I'm afraid that it is something of a masculine pursuit, a boys' club of sorts.
Boys will be boys, I assume.
Oh yes, as young Lieutenant Hansford is about to learn. He puts his arm around Hansford's shoulder. Hansford says, I want you to know, Admiral Flagg, I consider this to be an incredible honor. And he's like, just going on. And Flagg is just ignoring him, but looking at you.
I thought that this would have been more of a reunion of sorts. This carouse. It doesn't. Lieutenant Hansberg seem a little young for your group at this time, sir.
Yes, he is. But he's a solid boy, strong frame. I have a feeling he's going to be able to handle us old salts just fine. And after all, one wants new blood, doesn't one?
I imagine so. I mean, every hunting party needs a good mix of established and new members, of course.
And you also have to mix up the prey, the quarry, do you not, Miss Everly Gray?
Depends on the hunt, sir. Depends on the hunt.
Son, you do have the run at the back of the house. What do you do?
I want to get into a good spot where I can observe the seance.
I think that will be tricky, but not impossible. You might be able to hide behind a potted plant or something. You're not going to be able to stand on the side as a servant. You do not have the proper appearance. You don't have a uniform, for that matter. So what is your, I think like there's just one door that goes in. There's the window behind Madame Sorokin whenever she arrives. Otherwise, the room is quite sealed up. So what you're thinking?
What kind of room is it?
It's a parlor, but it's been sort of, the big table's been brought in so that it's kind of this big round table that everyone's been sitting at. There's a fire on one side.
Okay. Yeah, I think I will just have left the window open so that I can go observe through it.
Very good. And you were probably expecting to find Miss Everly Gray. Miss Everly Gray is not there. But you will
Must
also
not have wanted my company after all.
Indeed, indeed. Let's cut back over to Graves and Blakely. Eventually, Madame Sorokin arrives. Some you will notice from the outside that Madame Sorokin arrives in a carriage. The carriage itself has been decorated with, like, it has gargoyles. It has like strange little fixtures on it, right? And it even has like a lantern that the carriage driver is holding on a stick. The glass has been painted green to give the whole thing an eerie appearance. And everyone will come out and meet the carriage. Some, from your vantage point, what are you doing? You gonna try to learn something or what?
I think all right, so I think the position is suitably fortified with boxes and things that we're moving out, so I can remain here without being seen. But I think if they're all going out, I will actually take the opportunity to have a look inside. I'll lumber through the open window and poke around under the big table and things real quick.
Yeah, make an information move with reason. See how it goes.
Nine.
You're going to get your clue. It's under the table. Unfortunately, you are not able to get out in time and will be under the table for the remainder of the seance. But we'll talk about your clue in a moment. Let's go to Graves and Blakely.
Yeah, I think it's particularly horrible as I wedge myself up to the bottom of the table.
Let's go to Blakely and Graves. Everyone has gone out to greet Madame Sorokin. Madame Sorokin's carriage driver is removing a large object, presumably the St. Petersburg mirror, wrapped in a tarp. And while that's being removed, one of Lady Cadwallader's footmen comes and opens the door for Madame Sorokin. Madame Sorokin steps out, and she is wearing a purple veil over her face and a sort of green and purple gown. And she even has like sheer purple gloves that cover her hands and fingers. And as she steps out of the carriage, she says, she gets everyone to be quiet for a moment. And she says, "Friends, can you feel this? Can you feel a thinning of the veil? We are going to reach into another world this evening. Prepare yourselves to cross over. The moon is bright in the sky, and the spirit realm is calling to us." And Lady Cadwallader grips your hand, Mr. Graves, and she takes in a sharp breath. What are the two of you doing?
I'm curious if I can feel a thinning of the veil.
I think you always feel a thinning of the veil.
Right.
Miss Blakely, what are you doing?
Walking up to Madame Sorokin. Oh, my dear Madame, it is such a pleasure to meet you. And you, of course, being who you are, you know who I am. I don't think I would need to introduce myself to someone as well talented as you.
She turns and she says, "Thank you for your greeting, Miss. We must hurry if we are to step through the portal of the unknown before it closes." And she continues on into the house. And Count Orlov says, "Isn't she incredible?"
Yes, I am quite impressed. Stellar performance.
The Laboratory of Hallucinations. Rob, please describe Act 2, in which the mad scientist kidnaps his wife's lover and uses an experimental technique to take over his mind.
We see the extremely moustache twirling mad scientist preparing a ludicrously oversized kind of brass needle with some kind of brightly colored fluid inside of it. And he waits until the wife's lover knocks upon the door of their house, and he is hidden, lurking in the shadows by the door. He opens it, and the lover steps through, wondering why the door is open when nobody seems to be there to greet him. And the scientist leaps out from the shadows and plunges the needle into the lover's neck and injects him, and he immediately goes limp. And the scientist kind of breaks the first wall, turning toward the audience and rubbing his hands in delight, and then drags the body down to his laboratory, where he straps it to a table and prepares another needle with a fluid which he injects first into himself, drawing some of his own blood into the needle, and then transfers that to the lover, injecting it and drawing more blood, and back to himself again. And as he does so, you can see a kind of dreamy expression coming across his face. And this continues several times, with more and more of the brightly colored liquid in this needle being replaced with blood from both of them.
Ms. Everly Gray. Lieutenant Hansford and Admiral Flagg go off to their little gathering. Are you pressing forward to Lady Cadwallader's?
I imagine so, but I will have a lingering look at Vice Admiral Flagg and at this point, poor lieutenant, and will make my way to Lady Cadwallader's, thinking on what kind of revelry this admiral has that he's so concerned whether it's going to bother us or not.
As you're getting into the cab to head out to Lady Cadwallader's, they're singing a shanty right now, a loud, boisterous voice. And something about the shanty reminds you of a famous story in your family, a famous story of hunting monsters. What is it?
There was an old story that ended with a verse about remembering the fallen because of going to this town that seemingly had normal folk in it, but then discovering that they had been part of some long line of sacrifice to a monster of the sea. And one of the family had to go and investigate and find out that the monster had been insidiously inserting itself, all implications included, in this town, and so had to almost wipe out the entire lot, with branches possibly still existing elsewhere.
Sam, when you crawl under the table, you are surprised to find a small child under the table as well. They look to be about 3, 4 years old, very little though, but with a brightness, a mirth, a knowing in their eyes. Even in the dark, underneath the table in this dimly lit room, you can see the brightness in their eyes. And as you're there, on your hands and knees under the table, this child looks at you and goes, "Shh." What do you do?
Like I'll do the same thing back. Are people coming into the room?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
The child reaches down and produces a red ball and sits down and rolls it to you.
Now I'll take it and pick it up and look at it. So just a regular old playing ball.
As you pick up the ball, how do you know it has recently been in the land of the dead?
It's covered in frost.
How do you feel?
I think a normal person would feel chilled, and maybe existentially some feels that way, but he cannot feel anything.
Take the condition numb. And the child says, "She's coming. We have to be very, very quiet. She'll be angry if she discovers us down here."
Yeah, and I'll put one hand up and the other hand up on the big corner, wedge my elbow in, get my feet up, and ply myself to the bottom of the table. And since I've got one elbow in, I'll look at the kid and go, you're muted,
Jason, you're muted.
The child looks up at you from their vantage point, which puts them still pretty close to your face as you're hanging down. And they reach up their little hand and they begin pulling at your seams on your cheek, causing black fluid to dribble down. And the child says, "You're like me." And now the party is arriving. And Madame Sorokin steps in, goes around the table, takes her seat. She says, "Everyone, please sit down. Gentlemen, please remove any timekeeping devices from your pockets. Ladies, please remove your jewelry." And a footman is going around and collecting all these items on a tray. It is very important that we do not distract the visitors from the other side with baubles so shiny, or reminders of the time they lost in this world. Graves and Blakely, what do you put in the tray?
Blakely takes off a few of her rings. She does leave on, ones that don't have any baubles on them, ones that are just more simple, according to her. She takes off her necklaces, her bracelets. She doesn't go into her pockets, however, which needs to be specifically mentioned in case something happens.
Graves takes out his silver cigarette case from his inside jacket pocket. And before placing it in the bowl, he takes one last cigarette out from it, lights it, then puts the lighter also in the bowl. And finally, he removes from his neck, he has a silver tie pin that looks like with the design of a bird skull on the end of it, and he places that with the other items in the bowl.
Everyone is seated. The candles are lit. And the mirror is brought in. Madame Sorokin's people remove the cloth. The mirror itself is a very striking piece. It is quite elaborate in the border, being from the place in the world and time period. It has the look of like Fabergé, right? Like gold and gems and very, very intricately done. It's fabulously expensive, right? Interestingly, the glass is not very clear. It's actually quite cloudy and dull. And that stands in sharp contrast to the frame. And the mirror is just set up directly across from Madame Sorokin. And no one sits in that chair. And she instructs you all to take each other's hands and close your eyes. Do you close your eyes? Everyone else will.
I do, although I'm definitely maintaining my awareness of what's going on around us, particularly in the realm that may not be visible to some of the more mundane members of the party.
Take the information move with sensitivity.
Okay. A 7.
Miss Blakely, do you close your eyes?
Definitely not.
What are you doing as you keep your eyes open?
Watching how everyone reacts, watching the servants, just keeping an eye on everything to see that if this is going to go some kind of fake way, who's doing the fakery.
Make the information move with reason.
Oh, that's not Blakely's best quality. But with a 7, that's not so bad.
Not bad. Get your clues in a moment. Everyone's eyes are closed. Madame Sorokin says, I invite you all to walk with me now. Let your mind roam. Let it roam to the ancient places. Let it roam back to the land. Back when the sun was new. When the gods made war with each other. When the spirits roamed. Let your mind stretch beyond the black waters, and now go down, deep, ever deeper. Someone is there waiting on you, waiting on us. We shall speak to them now. And she tilts her head back. She's still wearing this purple veil. And this guttural sound comes up from her belly. You might even think it comes up from the depths of the ancient Black Ocean. This noise. Mr. Graves, you can feel Lady Cadwallader's small hand tightening. Our last stop at the Theatre Grand Guignol. Mads, please describe Act 3 in which the enthralled man manages to turn on the mad scientist and destroy him. The final scene should be very bloody.
The lover rises from the table, and he has that dreamy look in his eye, and he is just waiting, looking at the mad scientist in anticipation, waiting for the order, whatever order that may be. But then, as his eyes wander, he happens to catch a tiny photograph, a tiny portrait of the wife next to the table with all of the needles that the mad scientist had used on him. And slowly the dreaminess removes itself from his eyes, and a look of dawning horror comes into his face, and then rage as he picks up the needles, one in each hand, and then lunges at the mad scientist, digging one needle into his face, drawing a line scar from the eye down through his cheek, and then the other one going into his neck, and then basically falling upon him, and then stabbing the needles back and forth as blood runs and creates a lake in the center of the lab.
Ms. Everly Gray, we're fast forwarding with you a bit. You are presently surrounded by a group of tough-looking men near Lady Cadwallader's house. They all have weapons, clubs and things, and they have made it very clear that they do not like you poking around in their business. These men are almost certainly from the blackmail ring, or at least hired by them. In the distance, you can hear the moaning and exultations of Madame Sorokin. But I think we'd like to see you in action. How will you dispatch these assailants?
She smiles because one of the things that she remembers from her training is you never fight in a line. you're always fighting in a circle. So she basically whips out the twin staves from their harnesses and clutches them with a bit of a challenge, and then looks around with her peripheral vision, and then proceeds to slide backwards into the one that's behind her, taking out his kneecap, and then the one next to him taking out his throat, and then pretty much proceeding to go in a circular fashion in the pattern dances that she's been taught since she was a little girl. Basically bludgeoning them out of her way.
Make the night move with vitality. What do you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I get a little sore and beat up, possibly overwhelming me, but...
Oh, what's worse than that? They kill you and throw your body in the river.
Oh, that's fun.
Let's have vitality.
Sure. Let me just say what I have. 7.
You're going to take the condition battered and bruised, but you will otherwise be able to dispatch these men. Go ahead and describe it. Give us the fight scene.
So basically, she began with taking out the ones that were behind and to the side of her. And then again, not fighting them linearly, but going around them. So every move that she has is pretty much like dancing into the next and creating these circular patterns, whether it's up and down or side to side, and pretty much following the ring of them as she's hitting their ears, slapping their kneecaps with her staves, and then jabbing them into the kidneys and the ribs with her staves, and pretty much laying them out, knocking them out or breaking some bones, and just kind of disfiguring them a little bit or a lot. So
very good, very good. You hear all of this from your very particular vantage point, and the child crawls underneath one of the guests' dresses, almost like a little curtain stage curtain, crawls underneath and exits underneath the table. You don't see the child anymore, and you're just there. What are you doing?
I'm keeping an eye out for anything that I can, as far as like if there's any funny business going on with feet, tap somebody to do a thing, and like I'll even try and wrench my head when everybody's eyes are ordered closed. I'll even kind of wrench my head underneath the edge and see if I can't get a look at the bottom side of this mirror, like if there's anything under or near the bottom there.
I love it. Take the information move with, I think it's vitality, because of the way you're having to suspend yourself in the table frame like this.
Okay. So was the ball the clue earlier?
The clue is the child appearing, a child that claims to be from the dead realm appears.
Oh.
That's your clue.
Very good. Okay. So let's see. So I get it. Do I get advantage from this involving raw strength?
From Caliban's Fury?
Yeah.
Let's read it. It says, "You're as strong as 10 men." Sure, go for it.
Okay. 9.
I think it's just a bit of strain for you, so I'm going to give you the condition, like sore, basically. But you will learn as you're looking underneath at the mirror, especially because the mirror doesn't have anybody sitting in front of it, so you have an easier shot at kind of poking your head out and looking at the mirror. And from your particular vantage point, you actually see, let's see how I want to reveal this. From your particular vantage point, you can see that sort of like, I described the glass as like kind of like smoky, foggy glass. It's not particularly clear. You can actually see that the glass is transparent up close.
It's like that one-way mirror stuff.
It's kind of, yeah, similar sort of thing. Yeah, like it's transparent, like something like close enough to it from the other side would show up, right? Vaguely. And especially with a darkly lit room like this. But that's your clue. And back, I owe clues to Blakely and Graves as well. Blakely, since you have your eyes open, you see the thing that has been summoned by Madame Seraphima Sorokin. There is a man appearing in the mirror, a little older, and he's like pawing at the mirror as if he's trapped, trying to get out. And Madame Sorokin, whose eyes you can't see because of the veil, says, "He is here. My love, my Clara. I'm so sorry I left you." And Lady Cadwallader says, she sort of like breathes, like takes on a sharp inhalation of breath. And she says, my love, I forgive you. I forgive you. And Madame Sorokin says, open your eyes, my love. Open your eyes and look upon me. And she does, and she sees the image in the mirror. And she begins weeping openly. Mr. Graves. Actually, let me check in with Miss Blakely. How do you feel, Miss Blakely? You don't have any reason to think that the mirror is false, necessarily.
Not necessarily, no. I think I'm not actually that impressed. I've seen weirder things than this. I'm a little actually like, oh, weeping, na 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 na. Oh, I'm so sad. My husband's dead. I kind of just like get on with it.
Take the condition jaded, please. And Mr. Graves. Mr. Graves, you do see Lord Cadwallader in your mind's eye, but standing behind Madame Sorokin. What about his appearance indicates how he died?
He has some marks upon his face, some scars or sores that might be indicative of infection with syphilis.
Sorry, I was adjusting all the clues there. Yeah, syphilis scars. And Lord Cadwallader looks at you, Mr. Graves. He sees you holding his wife's hand. And he's getting a look of rage in his eyes. What do you do?
I think Graves feels this as a challenge, and he doesn't adjust his posture in any way. He maybe squeezes Lady Cadwallader's hand a little tighter, and a small wry smile creeps on one side of his mouth.
Take the condition marked by Lord Cadwallader, and that will conclude the night phase. Let's go to the dawn. No rewards. Let's do dawn questions. The first two are not in play, but you might have gotten an echo in the night, Miss Blakely.
I did not.
Let's go to, did you express a clear preference for the beautiful over the mundane?
Nope.
Did you create an ornate, over-the-top erotic experience for someone else's pleasure?
Maybe tomorrow.
Indeed. Not that it matters too much for you because you only have one more advancement anyway.
Yeah, I'm not too worried.
Yeah. Let's go to Mr. Graves. Did you experience an echo in the night?
I completely forgot about echoes in the night, so I don't think I can justify anything there.
Did you counsel someone using your supernatural affinities as the basis for that advice? I would say yes, you did.
Yeah, I definitely started to. That was my intention with
Lady Cadwallader.
Lady Cadwallader.
Did you perform a ritual? I don't know if you did that.
No.
Let's go to some echo in the night.
I don't think so.
Were you extra gentle with someone or something because you know how strong you are?
I was trying to be gentle with the red ball.
Yeah, I kind of picked up on that, the way you were treating the child. You can take that. Did you openly walk among people during the day? Yes, you did. Ms. Everly Gray, did you experience an echo in the night?
I'm going to say yes, because I was particularly struck by the child drawing the fluid from Sum's face, it seems, and then, of course, the stabbing and the needle.
Yeah, I'm thinking on that. Did you revel in the thrill of the hunt?
I mean, fighting the blackmailing ring was kind of thrilling.
It seemed like you were enjoying yourself. Yeah, you can take it. Did you taste someone or something else's blood, sweat, or other bodily fluids?
Forgot to after I beat them all to shit. Damn it. So, no.
You got the two. That's good. All right, then. Very good. Let's keep going. You can mark new dawn questions if you wish. We don't have any playbook or custom moves that need to be resolved, and no Janus mask either, for that matter. So that concludes our session. Let's go to stars and wishes. You all know how this works. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
Stars for all these new characters. For anybody watching or listening, I had really no idea, other than that Rob mentioned that he might be interested in doing the vessel. I had no idea what anybody was going to go for. So this is really fun surprise. I am so excited for this group. I'm so excited that Sum is going to be part of this. I don't know what's going to happen with that. And I just, yeah, big stars for these new characters. I can't wait to play more with them. Also stars for Jason for how you do all the Admiral Flag stuff, because he's so freaking creepy and I love it.
I'm very excited for the new season. I like this. This threat feels like a good echo of our first threat that we did. Like a good place to open the season. And I'm enjoying seeing the new characters as well. I like how Rob is doing this vessel, and I like how Mads is doing the legacy. I have a particular love for the legacy just because that's kind of my thing. I like Monster Hunter kinds of things a lot, so I'm excited to see that one happen in here. And I'm excited. Just I don't know. I just feel like the way that Crawford Graves is developing into this like very self-confident form of vessel feels good, feels cool, feels different than I was expecting. So I'm into it. And then Blakely is just being Blakely. Scene 1. You want some with you? I don't know that I do. All right, then.
I love the line. You're very conspicuous. I thought that was great. It's a good line. Star, I really enjoyed I enjoyed that use of Caliban's fury, like showing the strength with both cases, using it like as a social thing to get access to the house, but also using it in this way where it's like, because you have to be incredibly strong to hold yourself up inside the frame of anything, right? So I thought that was really, really good. I also quite enjoyed, I love doing a seance scene just because we don't get to do it very often, but seance scenes are fun to watch. And so it was really fun to do a seance. And I also like this sort of like, is she a fraud or is she not a fraud? Like just kind of keeping that up in the air was really fun. And I had fun playing her as well. And it was fun to see the legacy be a badass and beat some people up. That was super cool. And yeah, I just had a really great time. Thought the characters are terrific. If I had a wish, I definitely want to see Rites of Salt and Smoke at some point from Mr. Graves. That's a fun move, and I'm very excited to see it. I want to learn a little bit more about the Beast to the extent that Artemis is willing to share, and very, very curious to see what the next threat is going to be. So, yeah, don't know yet.
My wish is I'm excited for all the vulnerable scenes. I want every vulnerable scene ever. I'm so excited for what this group will be like for that. I'm particularly looking forward to Blakely and Artemis, or yeah, having sort of a one-on-one for reasons that I'm not going to get into.
Very well. Keep us in suspense.
I have a big stuff for. I love Admiral Flagg's voice. That's definitely really brings that character so alive. I can picture him. I'm really excited about all the new characters. I really think it's fun that Sam is carrying on. That's quite a challenge to take on that role, I think. So that's really cool. And yeah, I don't know. I loved Blakely hitting on the captain. I loved Sam hiding under the table and bonding with this maybe ghost child. And I loved Artemis's like story of this kind of wild story about the history of her family. Yeah, scenes I want to get to use some spooky powers with Mr. Graves, and I really want to see the vulnerable scenes and the masks start to come into play. We didn't do any masks today. Unlike last season, I kind of have some ideas there, so I'm excited about doing mine, and I'm also excited about hearing everyone else's. And yeah, that's going to be fun.
I am so excited for these characters. It's wonderful. I mean, yeah, Blakely's gonna Blakely, but I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I've taken a look at the remaining masks that she has, and it's like I'm really curious about this. And then I mean, I love Crawford Graves being such a. Oh, he's gonna be fun. And David, I so appreciate you taking on some. I mean, granted, I mean, like it's not anything that I would have considered for some, but 3 years have passed, and you are playing him already with such gentleness and like, you know, I'm getting ready for the emotional story because it's like, I know you can do it. And like, I knew I didn't want to do it because it's like, Noble broke my heart. I mean, I'm just like, shit, I can't do that again, at least not for a while. And I just love the scenes. I mean, like, everybody had like, you know, such character telling scenes, and it was wonderful to be more action oriented rather than being the one saved this time. So it's like, again, I'm very excited about doing the legacy, and my take on her and the specific ideas that I have about the beast that I will share with you, Jason, offline. But yeah, this is turning out to be great. And I mean, it's been 4 weeks since we've done Unseen, so it's like, okay, what do we do again? So my wish is, again, vulnerable scenes and just like getting more into everybody's story and seeing the masks. And I mean, you know, we have a new threat mask, so like, it's on the table, and I can't wait to see what we come up with that. So yeah, great start.
I want to say that I'm really happy that we have the orphan in play. The orphan is probably, when I was writing the game, it's probably the most personal of the playbooks, right? It's the one that like I most identify with. And when I wrote it in a really particular way, right? Because I do have a really complicated relationship with my mother, and the orphan is all about like, it's like about, I think it's interesting that like, you know, it's great that the character is being played in a way that maybe Mads or Dr. Noble, in or out of character, didn't really anticipate, because I think that that's what it's about. It's about like, it's about you, a child, being not what your parents thought you were going to be, you know? And it's about found family. It's about your own perceptions, right? The way you perceive yourself, even if you know fundamentally it's not true, right? It's all very, very personal. And so I like having the orphan playbook in play just for that reason, because it like really resonates with me a lot. So, but yeah, so I'm really excited about that. Any other stars and wishes?
I think just one thing specifically is that it's really cool that those of us that are doing new characters, the new characters are like super different from the old ones. And
They really are, yeah.
That's particularly exciting.
Yeah. Well, let's end with a end of credits scene, shall we? The HMS Chimera, which is just the mansion next door on Belgrave Square. The first level of the mansion is decorated like a grand officer's stateroom. The upper levels, if you could see them, are decorated like cargo hold. There is cargo in the rooms. There are no beds. There are no desks. There are crates and boxes piled up. And in our little upside down ship in the basement is the top side of the ship. The walls have been painted sky blue with an ocean horizon, white clouds. The sun has been rendered on ceiling in vivid yellow paint. And the floor is the wooden planks of the original HMS Chimera repurposed here. And the crew of the Chimera, all older men in their 50s and 60s, even older, wearing no shirts or sort of like, you know, like just simple clothing that might be comfortable to work in. They're standing on two lines. And Lieutenant Daniel Hansford is being made to crawl between them while they take lengths of rope and strike him repeatedly as he crawls to the front of the line. And they sing their shanty each line punctuated with new blows from the rigging. Heave ho, stars below, Chimera finds the way. Night falls and so we go, stargazing in the bay. Stars above and stars below, 3 heads will call us home. A sweeter milk we'll never know, but in our dreams we'll roam. A beaten, bruised, bloodied Lieutenant Hansford reaches the end of the line, where stands a naked man, draped in a lion's pelt, covered in snakes wrapped around his body. And curiously, feet that look like hooves. Hansford dies at his hoof feet. And the camera pans up to see Admiral Flagg's face beneath the lion pelt, painted with strange symbols. And he looks out at his shipmates, and they all kneel. I will see you all next week.